The blood is wrong. Luigi Ferri kneels in the summer dust of the Tuscan hillside, staring at a young man bleeding in the ditch, and the blood is all wrong. Not the color, not the amount, the direction. It is July 17th, 1944. The morning sun burns white against his shoulders. Cicadas scream in the olive trees, and the German soldier dying at his feet has been shot in the back by a German bullet. Luigi knows this the way a farmer knows weather, the way a partisan knows survival. He has seen enough bodies in these hills over the past 9 months. Knows the difference between Allied rifle fire and Wehrmacht Mauser rounds. Knows what an execution looks like, what a murder looks like, what justice looks like. This is none of those things. The boy, he cannot be more than 19, tries to speak. His lips crack open. Blood bubbles at the corner of his mouth, pink with air from a punctured lung. His eyes are the pale blue of alpine ice, and they are filled with something Luigi has not seen in a German soldier's face before. Terror, not of Luigi, not of dying, terror of his own people. The boy's hand moves, trembling, to his Wehrmacht tunic. His fingers, slick with blood, fumble at the breast pocket. He pulls out a paybook, the sole buck every German soldier carries, opens it with hands that shake like leaves, points to a date stamped in red ink. Fahnenfluchtig, deserter. Luigi Ferri has killed 3 German soldiers in the past year, has helped blow up 2 Wehrmacht supply convoys, has guided Allied pilots to ammunition depots, has earned his place in the resistance that bleeds the occupiers 1 careful cut at a time. The smart thing, the right thing, is to walk away. Let this boy die alone in this ditch. Let the flies have him. Let the earth swallow another piece of the rye. But the blood is wrong. And something in those terrified blue eyes makes Luigi's hand reach for the boy's collar instead of his knife. If this story challenges what you thought you knew about World War II, please hit that like button and subscribe. History is never as simple as we're taught, and these forgotten moments deserve to be remembered. 3 miles away, in a stone farmhouse older than the war by 3 centuries, Luigi's mother kneads bread dough with hands gnarled by 70 years of labor. His sister Maria hangs laundry on the line, white sheets snapping in the wind like surrender flags. They do not know that Luigi is about to make a choice that could get them all killed. Luigi Ferri is 28 years old, born in this valley, baptized in the church the Germans use as barracks now, educated enough to read, smart enough to know when to pretend he cannot. He was working his family's olive terraces when the war came north, when Mussolini fell, when the Germans arrived not as allies but as occupiers. When everything changed. The transformation happened slowly, then all at once. The requisitions of grain and livestock, the curfews, the reprisals. The morning he and his father walked to the village of San Miniato and found 23 bodies in the town square. Men and boys, shot because someone, no one knew who, had cut the telephone wire to the German garrison. His father's best friend was among them, the baker, shot for the crime of living in the same town as someone who dared resist. That was when Luigi joined the partisans. Not the communist ones in the mountains, not the monarchist ones in the cities. The local ones. The farmers and shopkeepers who had nowhere else to go, who knew every cave and goat path in these hills, who fought not for ideology but for the simple right to exist without terror. He learned to move at night, to recognize the sound of different engines, to know which collaborators could be trusted, and which would sell their own mothers for a kilogram of sugar. He learned to shoot, to lie, to walk past German patrols with a face like stone and a pistol hidden in his boot. He learned to hate carefully, specifically, the way you must hate to survive. But he never learned what to do about a German boy shot by German hands, begging for help in the language of the enemy. The boy's name, Luigi learned slowly, is Klaus Müller, private, 20 years old, from Bavaria, drafted 9 months ago, arrived in Italy 6 weeks ago, given a rifle and orders that he refused to follow. And that refusal is why he is dying in this ditch. It takes time for Klaus to tell this story. His Italian is halting, learned from a phrase book in fear. Luigi's German is limited to commands barked by soldiers and curses spat by prisoners. They communicate in fragments, in gestures, in the universal language of wound and witness. 3 days ago, Klaus's unit received orders. Another reprisal, another village, another list of names. 20 men and boys. No trial, no mercy. line them against the wall of the church and shoot them, because someone ambushed a supply truck 15 kilometers away. Klaus's commanding officer read the names from a crumpled paper. Farmers, shopkeepers, a teacher, 2 boys younger than Klaus himself. I said no, Klaus whispers, and the words cost him. Blood runs faster from his mouth. The officer stared at him. Klaus could see his own death in that stare. The other soldiers stood frozen, rifles ready, watching. I cannot, Klaus said, in German, then in broken Italian. I cannot. The officer pulled his Luger from its holster. They shot the villagers anyway. 20 shots, then one more, for the coward who would not do his duty. But the officer's aim was hasty, furious. The bullet entered Klaus's back, missed his heart, destroyed his lung. They threw him in a truck, drove him into the hills, dumped him in this ditch to die slowly enough to think about what he had done, about what he had refused to do. Klaus talks, and blood comes with the words, and Luigi kneels in the dust trying to understand why this changes anything. 20 Italians are still dead. The war is still lost. The Germans are still the enemy. But this boy refused, and was murdered for it. Luigi looks at Klaus's face. Really looks. Past the uniform, past the blood, past everything he has been taught to see. Sees a boy who looks like his cousin Carlo, who was conscripted by the Italian Social Republic and has not been heard from in 8 months. Sees someone's son, someone's brother. Sees a human being who chose mercy and received a bullet for it. The choice Luigi makes in this moment will haunt him for the rest of his life, not because it is wrong, but because it is impossible. Can you walk? Luigi asks in fractured German. Klaus tries. Cannot. His legs buckle. His lung makes sounds like tearing cloth. Luigi looks at the sun. Calculates. 3 miles to the farmhouse. Maybe 6 German patrols on these roads. Definitely 2 partisan checkpoints. Klaus weighs perhaps 70 kilograms. Luigi has carried heavier loads of firewood. But firewood does not bleed, does not scream, does not wear the uniform of an occupying army. Then I carry you, Luigi says, and does something utterly, perfectly insane. The first kilometer nearly kills them both. Klaus weighs more than firewood because fear and pain make a person heavy. He clings to Luigi's shoulders, trying not to scream, failing. Every step jolts the bullet fragment still lodged in his chest. Every breath he takes sounds wet, wrong. Luigi can feel the boy's blood soaking through his own shirt, warm and sticky. They move in bursts. 20 steps, rest. 30 steps, rest. Hide behind a stone wall when an engine sounds in the distance. Wait while Klaus coughs blood into his hands and apologizes in German, in Italian, in the wordless language of someone who knows they are dying but does not want to be a burden. Quiet, Luigi hisses. Not cruel, practical. Sound carries in these hills. A German motorcycle patrol passes on the road below. 2 soldiers. They do not look up. Luigi holds Klaus's mouth closed while the boy convulses with a need to cough. Counts to 100 after the engine sound fades. Keeps counting. They move again. The second kilometer, Luigi's shoulders begin to scream. His legs shake. Klaus slips twice, and twice Luigi catches him, holds him back up, keeps moving. The sun climbs higher. No shade on this path. Sweat runs into Luigi's eyes, stinging. Salt and fear taste the same. Klaus whispers something. Luigi does not understand. Klaus tries again. Why? That word is the same in German and Italian. Wear 'em. Perch. Luigi does not answer because he does not have an answer. He saves his breath for walking. At the second kilometer, they nearly die a different way. Partisan patrol. 3 men Luigi knows. Aldo, who lost his son to German reprisal. Marco, whose farm was burned. Giovanni, who has reasons too numerous to count. They emerge from the olive grove like wolves, rifles ready. See Luigi. See Klaus. See the uniform. You captured one, Aldo says. His voice carries satisfaction. He unslings his rifle. No, Luigi says. Aldo's finger moves to the trigger. Step aside, Luigi. He is wounded. He is... Luigi searches for words. He refused an order. They shot him. He is German, Marco interrupts. And you are carrying him, why? Luigi has no answer that will satisfy them, no words that will explain what he barely understands himself. He simply stands there, Klaus bleeding against his back, blocking the rifles with his body. The moment stretches. Cicadas scream. The sun burns. Somewhere far away, artillery rumbles like distant thunder. The Allies are coming north. Everyone knows this, but not fast enough to save anyone today. Giovanni lowers his rifle first. You are crazy, Luigi. Yes, Luigi agrees. If he lives, he will kill Italians. If he lives, Luigi says carefully, he will have killed no one. If he dies, 20 Italians remain dead and nothing changes. The logic is terrible, insufficient, barely coherent. But Giovanni is was a teacher before the war, and perhaps some part of him recognizes the mathematics of mercy, the calculation that says, we lose nothing by letting one broken boy live, but we lose something essential by killing him. Or perhaps Giovanni is simply tired of death, tired of decisions that should not fall to farmers and teachers. If we see him again, Aldo says, and he is not bleeding, he dies. Fair, Luigi says, though nothing about this is fair. They let him pass. The 3rd kilometer, Klaus loses consciousness. This makes him easier to carry. Dead weight is simpler than a writhing body, but also more terrifying. Luigi cannot tell the boy is dying, cannot tell if his breath has stopped, has to keep moving anyway. He thinks about his mother, about what he is bringing to her door. A German soldier, a deserter, yes, but still a German soldier, still the enemy, still the same uniform that stands in their village square, that kicks down doors, that shoots men against church walls. What will she say? He knows what she should say. Turn around. Let him die. Protect us instead of him. But his mother is also the woman who, after San Miniato, wept for 3 days, not just for their friend the baker, for all 23, for the waste, for the mothers who would grieve. She wept in a way that transcended sides, that mourned not Italians but humans, boys who woke that morning not knowing it was their last. Maybe she will understand, or maybe she will damn him for a fool. The farmhouse appears through the olive trees, stone and tile and whitewashed walls 300 years old. The garden his mother tends. The chickens pecking in the yard. Maria's laundry dancing on the line, white and clean and innocent. He is about to stain all of it with German blood. Klaus wakes as they cross the last field, makes a sound between a gasp and a sob. Please, he whispers, please do not. Quiet. Luigi says, your family, if Germans come. They will not come. Luigi says this with more confidence than he feels. You are already dead. They think you are dead. I should be dead. Yes, Luigi agrees. You should be. But you are not. So we deal with what is not what should be. This might be the closest thing to a philosophy Luigi has ever articulated. It will have to be enough. His mother is at the kitchen window when they approach. He sees her face register the scene in stages. Her son, returning home, carrying something, carrying someone, carrying a German. She drops the bowl she is holding. It shatters on the stone floor. The barn loft smells of hay and swallow nests and old wood. It is, Klaus thinks through the haze of pain, the safest place he has been since leaving Bavaria. This thought is so absurd he almost laughs, which would kill him faster than the bullet has managed to, so he breathes shallowly instead and watches Luigi's mother work. Elena Ferri is 70 years old. Her hands have delivered lambs, harvested olives, buried 2 sons and a husband. They are the hands of someone who has seen too much to be surprised by anything, including a bleeding German in her barn. She does not speak while she works. Cuts away Klaus's tunic with kitchen shears. Probes a wound with fingers that smell of bread dough and rosemary. Measures with her eyes what instruments cannot. How much blood can be lost, how much pain can be endured, whether this boy will live to see another dawn. The bullet is still in there, she says finally, in Italian. To Luigi, not to Klaus. I know. If we take it out, he might die. If we leave it, he will die. Yes. She rocks back on her heels, studies Klaus's face. He tries to look brave. Fails. She sees a failure. Nods as if something has been confirmed. He is very young. 20. Carlo's age. The name hangs between them. Luigi's cousin, the conscript, the boy who has not written in 8 months, the boy who wears a different uniform but is no less lost. He refused an execution order, Luigi says, as if this explains everything, as if this justifies anything. Elena is quiet for a long time. Outside, chickens cluck. Maria hangs more laundry, the rhythmic snap of wet cloth the only sound beyond Klaus's labored breathing. 20 Italians died anyway, Elena says. Not a question. Yes. But this one said no. Yes. And was shot for it. Yes. Elena stands, walks to the barn wall where tools hang on nails, selects a small knife, the kind used for grafting olive trees, returns, kneels, looks at Klaus directly for the first time. This will hurt, she says in slow, careful Italian, then adds in even slower German, words learned from the occupation. Das Word weigh ton. Klaus understands, nods, closes his eyes. She does not tell him when she begins. The knife simply enters a wound, follows a bullet's path, and Klaus discovers that pain has depths he never imagined. He tries not to scream. Screams anyway, bites through his lip, tastes his own blood, fresh and bright. Luigi holds him down. Maria appears with clean cloth, her face carefully blank. Between the three of them, they become a surgery, a conspiracy, a small revolution against everything the war has taught them. The bullet comes out, small, deformed, red with Klaus's life. Elena drops it on the floor. It makes a tiny sound, metal on wood. The most expensive thing in the barn. Klaus thinks wildly. The cost of a conscience. They pack the wound with boiled cloth. Wrap his chest. Make him drink water, then broth, then more water. He vomits. They clean it up. He apologizes. They ignore him. This dance continues until evening falls and Klaus finally sleeps, exhausted by survival. Downstairs, in the kitchen, the Ferry family holds a council. We could turn him into the partisans, Maria says. Not suggesting, just stating options. Claim we captured him. Earn goodwill. We could turn him into the Germans, Elena adds. Claim we found him. Earn safety. We could let him die in the barn, Luigi says. Claim ignorance of everything. They sit with these possibilities. Each one is rational, defensible. Each one maintains the arithmetic of war. Us versus them, survival versus principle, safety versus risk. Each one means killing Klaus Müller one way or another. Maria speaks first. He is Carlo's age. Elena nods. He said no to murder. That matters. It matters to him, Luigi says quietly. 20 Italians are still dead. And 21 Germans did not die, Elena replies. Because of him. That is something. Perhaps not enough, but something. The moral mathematics are impossible. There is no equation that balances this. No calculus that makes the right answer clear. They are farmers, not philosophers. They deal in seasons and harvests and the simple logic of survival. But sometimes simple logic fails. Sometimes you must choose based on something more fragile than reason. On the trembling hope that humans can be more than their uniforms, more than their orders, more than the machines of war that grind them into nothing. He stays, Elena says, until he can walk, until the Allies come, until this is over. And if we are discovered? Maria asks. Elena looks at her daughter, at her son, at the barn where a German boy sleeps the sleep of the temporarily saved. Then we tell the truth, that we found a boy who said no to murder, and we could not let that boy die for it. It is not a good answer, but it is the only answer they have. Klaus Müller spends 6 weeks in the Ferry barn. The first week, he hovers between life and death like a bird uncertain which direction to fly. Fever comes. Delirium. He speaks in German, in Italian, in some language composed entirely of fear and regret. Calls for his mother. Apologizes to ghosts. Describes the faces of the men he did not shoot. Describes them so clearly that Elena knows he has memorized each one. Will carry them forever whether he lives or dies. Elena tends him. Changes his bandages. Spoons broth into his mouth when he can swallow. Wipes his mouth when he cannot. Speaks to him in Italian. Slowly, teaching him words. Life, water, bread, tomorrow, hope. She does not teach him the word for forgiveness. Some words must be owned, not given. The second week, German patrols come. 3 soldiers. Looking for partisans, they say. Looking for deserters. Luigi thinks, watching from the garden as they search the barn. Klaus lies in the loft, absolutely silent, barely breathing, while German boots walk below him. A dozen meters away. A cough would kill them all. The soldiers find nothing. Chickens, hay, farm tools. They kick through the straw, peer into corners, then leave. Never look up. After they go, Maria climbs to the loft, finds Klaus shaking so hard his teeth chatter, sweat soaking the blankets despite the summer heat. They are gone, she says. They will come back. Perhaps. You should kill me now, before they do. Maria considers this. She is 24 years old, has buried a fiancé killed in North Africa, fighting for Mussolini's empire, has reasons to hate Germans that are carved bone deep. But she looks at this boy, and he is a boy barely older than her dead Giovanni, and shakes her head. That would be wasteful. My mother has put considerable effort into keeping you alive. Do not undo her work with stupidity. It is the first time she has spoken to him directly. Klaus stares at her. Why? He asks. That question again. Why? Because Maria says, my Giovanni also said no once. To an order, to continue fighting in a war he no longer believed in. And he was shot for it by his own officers. Your people shot you. Mine shot him. Perhaps that makes us even. Perhaps it makes us something else. I have not decided yet. She leaves before he can respond, before she has to explain why tears are running down her face. The third week, partisan patrols come, different from German patrols. These men know the Ferry family, know Luigi. They come with suspicion instead of rifles drawn, questions instead of searches. We heard you brought someone here, Aldo says. The same Aldo who wanted to shoot Klaus on the hillside. Yes, Luigi says. Lying is pointless. Someone saw. Someone always sees. A deserter. Wounded. Dying. Is he dead yet? Nearly. Good. Aldo spits in the dust. A German is a German. This one is not shooting anyone. Neither are the dead ones. The logic is unassailable. Luigi has no counter-argument that will not reveal too much. He simply stands in the doorway, blocking access to the barn with his body, betting that familiarity means something, that being a neighbor counts for something, that mercy can be contagious, even in small doses. Aldo stays at him, long enough that Luigi feels his heartbeat in his throat, long enough that Klaus, in the loft, must be counting his last seconds of life. When he dies, Aldo says finally, tell us. We will help bury him. I will. Deep, where the dogs cannot find him. Yes. Aldo leaves, does not search the barn, does not ask to see the body, perhaps because he trusts Luigi, perhaps because he is tired of death and one more or less makes no difference in the grand accounting. Either way, Klaus Muller lives another day. The fourth week, Klaus tries to leave. Tries is the operative word. He makes it down the loft ladder before his legs give out, falls hard, lies on the barn floor gasping, ashamed, furious at his own weakness. Maria finds him there. Where did you think you were going? Anywhere. Away from here. Before I kill you all. You can barely walk to the piss pot. You will not be killing anyone for quite some time. Your brother should have let me die. Perhaps. She sits beside him on the floor, back against the stall door. But he did not. So now we are all stuck with this decision. You, us, all of it. Klaus is quiet for a long time. Then, in my village, there's a baker, Herr Schmidt. He makes Lebkuchen at Christmas, the best in Bavaria. Every year, the same recipe his grandmother taught him. Why are you telling me this? Because I do not know if he is still alive, if his shop still stands, if Christmas will ever come again. But I remember the smell, honey and spice. I remember being a boy in that shop, and the world being simpler. Maria understands. She remembers her own village before the war, the festivals, The harvests, the dances where Giovanni spun her until she was dizzy with joy. The world was never actually simple, but memory makes it so. My mother makes castagnaccio, she says. Chestnut cake. When the chestnuts come in autumn, she roasts them first, then grinds them by hand. It takes hours. The cake is dense, almost black, and she serves it with ricotta cheese that we make ourselves. Will she make it this autumn? If we survive to autumn, if the Germans leave, if the Allies come, if. They sit together on the barn floor, a German boy and an Italian girl, listing the foods of memory as if they are prayers, as if naming them might bring them back, might restore the world to what it was before orders and bullets and blood, might make them human again instead of enemies. The 5th week, Klaus can walk, slowly, painfully, but walk. He begins to help with small tasks, feeding chickens, gathering eggs, stacking firewood, the work of peacetime, performed in war. Elena watches him. So does Maria. So does Luigi. Waiting for, what? Betrayal? Escape? Some sign that the uniform is stronger than the man? But Klaus simply works. Learns more Italian. Teaches them German phrases they will probably never use. Plays chess with Luigi using pieces carved from olive pits. Loses every game because Luigi is good at chess, but also because Klaus's mind is elsewhere. He is thinking about the 20 men who died, about the officer who shot him, about whether refusing to murder makes him brave or simply makes him dead, about whether he deserved to be saved or whether he is stealing life from someone more worthy. These thoughts have no answers. He works anyway, because work is something to do with hands that would otherwise shake, because work earns him something, maybe, though he is not sure what. The 6th week, everything changes. Allied artillery, distant at first, then closer. The rumble that has been background noise for months becomes foreground urgency. The front is moving. The Germans are retreating. The Americans are coming. Liberation. Perhaps. Or perhaps just a different kind of danger. August 28th, 1944. American soldiers arrive in the valley. 3 jeeps. 20 men. Speaking English that Elena and Maria do not understand, but Luigi partially does, learned from his cousin who worked on ocean liners before the war. The Americans are looking for Germans, for collaborators, for enemies. Luigi leads them to the barn. Klaus Muller stands in the loft entrance. Wearing civilian clothes now, Luigi's spare pants, too short for him, and a shirt that does not quite fit. His hands are raised, empty, shaking slightly. He is a deserter, Luigi explains in broken English. Refused order. Shot by own people. We save him. The American lieutenant is skeptical. German deserters are rare. Stories about them rarer still. People lie, especially when the liberators arrive. Say anything to save themselves, to save friends, to settle old scores. Why should I believe you? The lieutenant asks. Luigi produces Klaus's paybook, the one with the desertion stamp. The one Klaus has kept all these weeks, his only proof that he is not simply a soldier captured by civilians. The lieutenant studies it. Studies Klaus. Studies a fairy family standing in the barn doorway, protective without quite being protective, the mathematics of their body language saying, "We are not his jailers. We are not his friends. We are something for which English is no word." He killed anyone? The lieutenant asks. No, Luigi says. Refused. That is why they shoot him. You swear to that? Luigi considers. In a war of lies, truth becomes precious, dangerous. He could lie now, could claim Klaus killed someone, could rid himself of this burden, could be free of the choice he made on that hillside 42 days ago. I swear, Luigi says. The lieutenant nods, takes Klaus into custody. Not as a criminal, not as a prisoner, but not quite as a refugee either. He occupies that strange category of people the war has broken. Not guilty but not innocent, not enemy but not friend. You will go to a camp, the lieutenant tells Klaus. Processing, questions, eventually, probably home. Klaus nods, turns to the fairy family. He has rehearsed words for this moment, practiced them in Italian and German both, but now they all seem insufficient. Thank you is too small. I am sorry is too late. You saved my life is obvious. I will never forget this as a promise he cannot yet know how to keep. He settles on, if I live, I will return. Elena steps forward, takes his face in her hands. 70-year-old hands that have harvested lives and death both. Then live, she says. That is all. Live. That will be enough. Klaus is taken away in a jeep, dust rising behind American tires. Gone. The barn feels suddenly empty. The loft where he slept. The floor where he fell. The tools he used. All of it hollow now, as if he had been a ghost that has finally moved on. Do you think we will see him again? Maria asks. Luigi does not know. The war is not over. Will not be over for months. Klaus must survive interrogation, processing, transit, the chaos of a collapsing Reich. Must make it home to Bavaria. Must remember, years later, that he made a promise. I do not know, Luigi says honestly. But he is wrong. October 1946. 16 months after Klaus Muller was taken away in an American jeep, a letter arrives at the Ferry farmhouse. Forwarded through channels no one quite understands, American military post to Italian postal service to the small office in the village. The envelope is battered, the handwriting careful. Klaus Muller survived, spent a year in a prisoner war camp, was eventually released, made it back to Bavaria, found his village mostly intact, found Herr Schmidt's bakery still standing, still making Lebkuchen, still smelling of honey and spice. Found a world that was trying very hard to forget what it had been, to become something else, something better, though no one quite knew how. He writes to thank them, to tell them he is alive, to ask if he might visit. The letter is 3 pages long, in German with Italian translations written carefully in the margins. He describes his mother's tears when he returned, his father's silence, his sister's joy, the slow work of rebuilding, replanting, reimagining what life might be, and he describes the 20 faces he still sees, the men he did not shoot, the men who died anyway, says he thinks of them every day, wonders if they know, wherever they are, that one German said no. Elena writes back, invites him to come when he can, says they have olives to harvest, and extra hands always welcome. He comes in the spring of 1947. Steps off the train carrying a small bag and wearing clothes that are too thin for Italian April. Stands in the village square looking lost until Luigi finds him. They do not embrace. Do not speak at first. Simply look at each other. These 2 men who shared 6 weeks of impossible mercy in a barn, who are bound now by something that transcends nation and uniform and history. You came, Luigi says. I promise, Klaus replies. And that is that. The beginning of something that will last 58 years. Klaus returns every year. Sometimes for a week, sometimes for a month. Helps with a harvest. Plays chess with Luigi. Learns to make Elena's castagnaccio. Teaches Maria German songs that she sings to her children when they come. Becomes not exactly family, but not exactly stranger either. Becomes proof that humans can be more than what war makes them. In 1985, they write a book together. Klaus and Luigi, a thin volume published by a small Italian press. It tells their story. The ditch, the choice, the 6 weeks, the return. The book sells modestly, a few thousand copies. Enough, because the story is not about sales. It is about a record, about saying to the world, this happened. In the middle of everything terrible, this one small thing happened. One choice, one mercy. One German boy who said no, and one Italian man who chose to save him. 20 Italians still died. The war still destroyed millions. Evil still triumphed in 1,000 ways. But in one ditch on one hillside in Tuscany, blood ran backward. And mercy won, briefly, against all odds. Klaus Muller dies in 2005, 81 years old. In his sleep, peacefully. Luigi Ferri dies in 2008. 8 to 9 years old, surrounded by children and grandchildren. Elena and Maria had already passed. The war took nothing from them directly, but age took everything eventually, as it does. But between that moment in 1944, when Luigi knelt beside a dying enemy and chose something insane, and the final goodbyes more than 60 years later, a friendship existed that should not have existed, a mercy that should not have survived, a proof fragile as it is, that humans can choose to be human even when everything argues against it. The bond still stands. The Ferry family still owns it. Klaus's descendants have visited, have stood in the loft, have touched the wood that saved their grandfather's life. They do not know exactly where he slept, which boards held his weight, which corner hid him from the German patrols who walked below. The specific geography of mercy has been lost to time, but the fact of it remains. In the archives in Munich, Klaus's soulbuck is preserved, the desertion stamp, the bullet-wound notation, the discharge papers, evidence. In the archives in Florence, there are records, partisan reports mentioning a German deserter, Allied interrogation transcripts, list of those processed and released, more evidence, and in the memories of those who listened to Klaus and Luigi tell their story, who read their book, who asked how it was possible that an enemy became a friend, there is something more valuable than evidence. There is a reminder that in the arithmetic of war, where everything is addition and subtraction, life and death, us and them, sometimes, very rarely, the equation breaks. Sometimes mercy does not make sense, and you do it anyway. Sometimes the blood runs wrong, and you notice. Sometimes you carry the enemy 3 miles because his blood is the same as yours, and his choice, however futile, deserves to be honored. Sometimes you save a life that should not be saved because the alternative is to become the very thing you are fighting against. And sometimes, if you are very lucky, that life returns to thank you, returns for 58 years, returns and becomes not just a friend but a testament to the possibility of choosing humanity over hatred, of choosing mercy over revenge, of choosing to see a person instead of a uniform. The world is not saved by such choices. One German deserter does not redeem the Reich. One Italian partisan does not absolve the war. But perhaps, just perhaps, these small mercies are how we remember we are more than the machines that grind us, more than the flags we march under, more than the enemies we are told to hate. Perhaps Klaus Müller and Luigi Ferri are important not because they were heroes, but because they were ordinary, a farmer and a conscript, 2 men who should have been enemies, who became, against all logic and sense, proof that the arithmetic of humanity is more complex than simple addition, that sometimes, in the midst of everything terrible, mercy wins, that sometimes, in a ditch or a barn or a moment of impossible choice, we remember what we are supposed to be, human, all of us, even the enemies, especially the enemies. The story of Luigi Ferri and Klaus Müller has been verified through their jointly published memoir L'inimico nel fosso, The Enemy in the Ditch, 1985, interviews with family members, archived correspondence between the 2 men spanning 1946 to 2005, Klaus's Wehrmacht soulbuck, preserved in Munich's Bundesarchiv, and Allied interrogation records from 1944. If the story of impossible mercy in the midst of World War II moved you, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with others. History is not just about the big battles and famous generals. It is about the small choices ordinary people make when faced with impossible situations. Comments are open. Tell me, what would you have done in Luigi's position? Could you have carried your enemy 3 miles to save his life? Remember, the greatest moments in history are often the smallest. One choice, one person, one moment of mercy when everything argued for revenge. Thank you for watching.